first generation Ford Focuses, which use the common 2-litre blacktop Zetec double overhead cam motors, have a common problem with their PCV hoses collapsing, and we're going to look at replacing that along with the PCV valve at the same time in this video. And I'm also going to do a second video, which will be part 2 if you like, in which I'll look at fixing the actual problem or the symptom itself, which in my case is this leaking rocker cover or valve cover gasket. Major oil leak here, pissing oil all over the engine bay, big problem. But we need to figure out what the cause of the problem is before we just go replacing the gasket and then just have the new gasket leak on us again. So in this case, I looked around and found the collapsing PCV hose, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, and that seemed like a likely candidate. Now, the main PCV hose linkage on these engines runs from the exhaust side of the crankcase, which is where the valve is located, back along the left-hand side of the engine, right-hand side from this perspective, to the rear side of the engine bay, which is where the intake manifold is. And the hose that needs replacing is this one pictured here, which has the multiple right-hand turns in it, the one with the Ford serial number on it right there. And if you are familiar with looking at these sorts of hoses, you'll notice straight away that the elbow on the left-hand side in the frame right now has collapsed. It's not supposed to look like that. So immediately we have a candidate for a failed component right there. And the PCV, or positive crankcase ventilation system, is designed to allow controlled removal of crankcase pressure, the failure of which might be responsible for too much pressure building up in the crankcase, which could see the failure of the rocker cover, valve cover gasket, which is the problem that we have here. So moving on, I'm just going to start the engine and watch how, when this system is placed under vacuum, this hose collapses completely. And that's no good at all. It's not supposed to do that. So this definitely needs replacing. And we will replace the valve at the same time, because it may also be a possible candidate for failure. It's difficult to diagnose, but they're very cheap, $10, $20 even for a genuine Ford Motorcraft component. So we're not going to even think about that. Since we're doing this work, we are just going to go ahead and replace the valve, no questions. And we'll look at replacing that valve first. It's not difficult to do the valve itself, but to get easy access to it, you need to remove the exhaust heat shield. So the exhaust heat shield is held in place with 4 hex head bolts. You may find actually that somebody else has already removed the heat shield and not bothered to put it back on, but if you're like me, you will have to remove it, and it's a bit of a pain to get it out, but struggle and it will come. And if you have this pipe running across the front of your exhaust manifold, it gets right in the way. It runs right across the top of where the PCV valve is, so it's ideal to just undo its brackets. You don't need to actually remove the pipe itself. You just need to undo these brackets next to on either side of the exhaust manifold, and then you can flex it out of the way far enough to get access. And then the PCV valve is kind of hidden from view at this point when it's installed. It inserts into a rubber grommet which is on the crankcase, and then in turn this black plastic elbow that you can see goes onto the valve nipple. So all you do is grab the black plastic elbow with your finger and give it a good pull, and something will come out. Either the valve will come out of the grommet, or the hose, the elbow, will come off the valve. Either way, you're just going to do first one, then the other. Once you've removed the valve, it's a good idea just to check the condition of both the grommet that's in the crankcase and also the the plastic elbow. Just make sure that both of them are in good condition, they're not damaged, and that they're going to be able to be reused. Otherwise, you'll have to replace them as well as the valve. So here's the new valve, a Ford Motorcraft, genuine version. It looks pretty much identical to the old one. It's nice and clean. The valve inside is nice and loose. If you shake it, you can hear it rattling around, which is good. So to put it back in, it's just a reversal of its removal, obviously. Push it into the grommet and then replace the plastic elbow. And then make sure that there's no gap. Make sure that it's all properly seated. And there it is back in place. Again, all you can see of the valve itself is the silver metallic rim. And the next stage in this job is replacing the rear PCV hose, which is the one that's collapsing. Now, removing it is quite tricky. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not the easiest job. You'd think it's not difficult removing a hose, but this is a bit of a bastard. Where it attaches to the intake manifold, which is the rear side, it has a spring-loaded hose clip, one of the circular spring clips, which is supposed to be actioned just using a pair of pliers or something similar, but it's almost impossible. I found it impossible to get a pair of pliers into the correct orientation and be able to apply sufficient force. The confines are just too tight. What I ended up doing after struggling for quite some time is just using a screwdriver, and I sort of managed to find the correct leverage, which I'm sorry I can't really show you here because there just wasn't the angle for the video camera. But I basically just forced it off without removing the clip. It moved enough. I could lever it without bothering to actually take the clip off. So yeah, hopefully you can do something similar. And then when I replaced it, I bin the spring-loaded clip and I replaced it with a standard screw-up hose clamp. And then on the other front end of this hose, where it's another female connection to the male plastic pipe, which is the plastic pipe that goes through and joins onto the plastic elbow, which in turn connects to the PCV valve, which we already looked at. There's no clip there, but in my case it was so well stuck on, practically super glued, vulcanized together, that I ended up cutting it off. I used a Stanley knife to make a careful incision lengthwise, just to remove the tension from the hose. And once I'd made a deep enough cut, I was able to pull it off. And finally it'll come out. Now here's the old hose. You can see that the spring hose clamp is still in position. I just haven't removed it. And you can see how easily, how malleable the rubber is at this particular area. You can see how easily I can collapse it with my fingers. And here is the new replacement part, also genuine from Ford. You will notice immediately something different about this, and that is of course the prominent silver foil which is surrounding most of it. And of course I presume that this is there now to protect the rubber from presumably what was causing the collapsing problem in the first place, which I expect is heat. So yeah, you can see how this is going to provide some good insulation. And if you look at the elbow area where it was collapsing, this is nice and new and nice and stiff, and I can't really collapse it with my fingers even under quite a bit of pressure. And as I mentioned before, this is the stainless steel hose clamp, which I'm going to use to replace the spring clamp, just because it's way too difficult to work with. So once again, installation is the reverse of removal. If you have trouble getting the female hose onto the male connectors, then it might be time for the hot air gun, or the girlfriend's hairdryer if you don't have a hot air gun. Just heat the rubber up a little bit, not too much, but don't be too scared of it. It is designed to sit next to an engine after all. Just get the rubber a bit more malleable, and then it'll more easily slide onto its respective connectors. So there it is in position. Again, you just push it onto the rear side pipe, and if you look forwards, obviously the foil now is very prominent. It's hard to miss, and you can see there the hose clamp screw. And once it's all back in position, you need to start the engine, and we're going to test that it's not collapsing like the old one was. And as you can see here, this is not changing at all. It's withstanding the vacuum perfectly. Good, so this section of the job is done. In the next video we're going to look at replacing the valve cover, rocker cover gasket. But that's going to be a separate job, and hopefully for now the PCV system and the root cause of this problem, the leaking gasket, is now fixed.